Hi, I'm Terry Kyle, the co-founder and CEO of WPX.net. And joining me today on a call is Lidiya. And Lidiya is the site owner and the entrepreneur behind letsreachsuccess.com. So Lidiya is obviously a change seeker. She's a real powerhouse go-getter. And she's going to talk all about her hugely ambitious, bold plans and actually things she's already done, not just plans, today on the call. So I think we'll get a lot out of it. And welcome, Lidiya. How are you today?
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. And yeah, I'm doing great.
Great.
How are you?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So Lidiya, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm a blogger and course creator and the founder of letsreachsuccess.com, where I teach people about business so they can live their best life and serve their purpose thanks to it. My first side hustle and income online was thanks to freelance writing many years ago. And I was building my blog on the side at the same time. Eventually, that replaced the freelance income, thankfully, because I really was done with client work. It wasn't my thing. So I became a full-time blogger officially. And a few years ago, I added courses to the equation. So now it's like I'm running the blogging side of the business and the online courses. These two require completely different mindsets and set of activities, but it's the two business models I'm passionate about, the ones I know the most about, and that's why it's what I teach now.
Great. Was there a specific moment or experience or situation or person that inspired you to start the blog? And was there a particular problem that you wanted to solve by creating that blog?
It wasn't a personal situation, and if I was about to start something now, I would definitely aim at solving a problem. But back then, I just had a message to share with the world. I wanted to create something on my own. I just wanted to write about personal development, honestly. That was my main niche back then. That's why I started the blog. And to help and inspire people with that content.
Can you tell us what you think the first 5 steps are when somebody is thinking about starting a blog or deciding to start a blog? What steps do you think they should go through before and during the launch of that blog?
The first one would be to find your why, but to really go deep on that, because so many people go after the wrong things. And yeah, they can say they want to make money with an online business, but they don't really know how that is going to benefit their life later on. So that why is the one thing that is going to keep you going when you will want to give up. And you will probably want to give up many times down the road. The second step would be to find your niche, but also not to get stuck on that phase, not to look for the perfect niche. Because readers of my blog contact me all the time to say they are looking for their niche, they're not sure if that's the right one, they ask me for advice, and yet they never set up the website. They get lost in that perfectionism phase. And yeah, that's just a mental barrier. Then step number 3 would be to actually set up the website, to install WordPress on it, to get it done. Then number 4 would be to design it. But again, not to invest too much time into that because you can always change it later on. Just make it look good, add a bit of you in it, but don't get lost. Don't spend days or weeks looking for the perfect team and the perfect elements. And the goal of all this is to get to step number 5, which is to actually publish your first blog post. From then on, you can focus on growing the blog. Yeah.
Great. And I would add to that because you and I both get that question quite a bit. And I noticed you refer there to that Simon Sinek thing of starting with why. And I think one of the classic drawbacks, and I did this myself when starting out, is that when we approach a niche or a sub-niche, we kind of think, what can we get out of it? And I think a much better approach is to ask, how can I serve this niche? How can I move it forward? How can I improve it? Can I bring great research or curation or quality interviews or software tools or whatever it might be? But I really believe if you bring that attitude of service to a niche or a sub-niche, that will serve you much better than kind of mucking around looking for a sub-niche where you think you're going to become rich from it. Instead of just being a taker, I think ask how you can serve, and I think that will actually serve you much better as a blogger starting out, any digital business actually, not just blogging.
Definitely. Yeah.
Creating your blog's website may be the easiest part. What are the 5 things new bloggers would wish they knew sooner before getting into the field? So they might be a bit further down the road now, and they've published some content. They're now, quote unquote, a blogger. They're doing all of that, but they're starting to discover some things that they wish they'd known earlier. Do you have any thoughts on that, Lidiya?
Yeah. The first one would be that you can always change direction, and that applies to the niche. There is no wrong choice here. So what matters today is to really start, get that blogging business started. And I'm an example of that. It started with personal development, and now I'm teaching business. These are sort of completely different, and yet there is a lot in common. But it just at some point you can get tired, you can outgrow a niche. Your intuition can tell you to start covering a completely different subject, or based on something that happens in your life, you now want to help that group of people. And that's totally fine. It's good to keep it in mind. Another thing would be that you can monetize from day one, actually. Many people are shocked by that statement. I didn't do it. I didn't believe I could do it. But it could be as simple as, for your first articles, you can add affiliate links and you can still be genuine, you can still provide value. Then you can also create your first digital product and have your paid offer from day one. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Then to remember that you're in it for the long haul. We're not looking for overnight success there. And even if it happens, I don't think it's sustainable. Especially with blogging, even it takes search engines a minimum of 6 months to even trust your website, to know it's actually there, to start bringing you visitors. Then it can take years to actually create solid passive income streams or any income streams. So just stay longer, give it years, and then it's going to make you happy for the rest of your life, literally, once it turns into something full-time. Then I would say that getting traffic is one thing and monetizing that traffic is another. I've seen many bloggers who have a lot of traffic, but they don't know what to do with it. So there is no income or just a little bit. And others who can have just a few thousand page views per month, and yet they can make 5 figures a month. And that's amazing. They have a really engaged audience. They monetize in different ways. They use the right strategies. Yeah. So it's not about the amount of traffic always. And also that you have to write a lot if you want to get into this business model. So if you don't love writing, maybe this is not for you. There are other options with other content formats. But your content is the main thing going on there. It's what is going to attract readers. It's how you're going to monetize, how you're going to build trust. So you have to show up consistently by writing long-form content on the blog.
Yeah, and I think the thing about changing direction is there's a bit of a balancing act there between, sometimes you might listen to customer feedback and it kind of suggests a spin-off direction to go in or a parallel direction at the same time. And actually, one of the things huge mistakes I made very early on in my career was regarding a quote unquote failed project as just a crushing disappointment that actually took years to recover from. When in fact, the right approach would have been to actually recognize that I learned a lot of skills on that project. I made relationships. I found some good service providers, even good customers, things like that. So nothing is kind of wasted, even if you do need to change direction.
Yes.
And when you dig into big companies like Instagram, for example, they pivoted away from some kind of silly little game that happened to have photo sharing in it, but they noticed that only people use the photo sharing bit. So they threw away the game and just kept the photo sharing bit. And of course, the rest is history. So there's that balancing act, I think, Lidiya, between sticking at something long enough to give it a best shot at succeeding, but also not being afraid to pivot when certain signs and signals are suggesting that you should do that.
Most of the people I know online, even the big names, they have pivoted even a few times. So it's beautiful to hear those stories all the time.
Absolutely. What do you think is essential in your view for a blog to be successful and money-making?
Well, the first part is the content and to provide value with it, to solve problems, because that's what we're here for. And then comes the need to monetize strategically, to have the right monetization strategies in place. that can take years, a lot of experimenting to see what works exactly for you, your audience, your niche. Yeah, but I think these two elements.
Right. What was the most challenging part for you when you started your own business?
I think the limiting beliefs I had, and which I still have, but they're different now. The ones that we all have, the deeply rooted ones since childhood, that they're usually related to low self worth, that we don't feel ready to start a blog yet, that we're not experienced enough. And I worked on each of these, also many related to money mindset actually. I worked on each of these separately and I reframed them to turn them into empowering ones. And that's why I say that probably 90% of business can be mindset work sometimes. Because if we don't believe we can do something, we're not going to take the action. And without that action, we'll never have valuable data to learn whether something works or not. So, yeah, those beliefs, I would say.
Yeah, and the way I think of it is that a lot of people act like they're waiting for somebody to give them permission, but actually there is nobody to do that, or no government body
Yeah,
or whatever. And it's ourselves. We just have to give ourselves that permission. And
yes.
interestingly, it's those baby steps and that willingness to kind of, I call it getting from 0 to 1. You've got to take that first thing, create your first website, even if you do it on Google Sites or WordPress subdomain, something like that. Just get practice, just take those steps towards it and just get things moving. And I think a lot of people are too stuck at that 0 stage and they never get past that.
Yeah. I stayed with a WordPress.com site for quite a long time. And I definitely could have taken action earlier to make it self-hosted. But I learned a lot even then.
You have several courses available on your website, Lidiya. Can you tell us more about the courses?
Yeah, so the first one, Blog to Biz System, I created around 3 years ago. There I cover anything I know about blogging. Starting it, growing it, the 4 monetization methods, the traffic, the organic traffic, and from Pinterest, because there is a lot of potential there for bloggers, content creation, email marketing, a lot is going on inside. Then when the course business became a priority and actually I started actively launching and selling and promoting the programs and making them better, I created Fearless Content, which is about content marketing and branding, but using the principles of personal growth and spirituality. It's combined in a beautiful way. Because, as I said, content creation really is my jam. It's one of the most important things we do online. And it's our way to connect with people. And many people create content from the wrong place. But with this course, I help them just find what the right content for them is, to listen more to their intuition, have a more aligned content creation process. And we also talk about sales funnels, marketing, and other things. Then there is the blog Sponsorship Boss, which is probably the only program where I don't teach mindset. We dive deep into the strategies of that one monetization method, working with brands. And it's the income stream actually that worked best for me. And to this day is the highest one. But not enough is said about it in the industry. Many big bloggers are earning from that, but they don't disclose their partnerships with brands. So I've been doing it for a long time and I just wanted to share everything in one place. Because it's happening behind the scenes. It's in emails with people who approach you or you approach them and how the negotiation happens. So I combined all that in that course. And then there is Bold Business School, which I finalized this year. And it's my signature program for course creators. And the other smaller products, I also have a bundle called the Master Blogger Bundle, where I combined all my products for bloggers at a reduced price.
Great.
Yeah.
I have an education background myself, and I'm currently working on 2 courses. I'm curious about the platform that you set up your courses on. For example, I'm using Thrive Architect as my Thrive Apprentice as the platform that I'm setting up the courses on WordPress for. What are you using for those courses?
Teachable from the beginning,
Okay.
and I'm going to stick to it. But I think the 2 biggest ones are Teachable and Kajabi. Yeah, and especially Kajabi, wow, it really exploded during the pandemic with how many new people joined it and the new features it has. And Teachable is keeping up, so they're both nice. I've heard of the one you said, but I don't know anything about it.
Yep.
Depends on the features, I think.
Exactly. Can you tell us more about your concept of the quantum leap?
Yeah, that's one of my favorite topics. It's for people who are into spirituality and manifestation in particular. But for this, we go beyond just the mainstream information about the law of attraction. Because, yeah, it's about the fact that everything is energy, that our thoughts create our reality, it's subconscious mind work. But here it's about the fact that time doesn't actually exist in the subconscious mind. Past, present, and future are the same. So when we give ourselves a deadline for, let's say, a business goal, it's a limitation we set to ourselves. And a good example, so a quantum leap is when you achieve something much, much, much faster than anyone else and you would expect. And an example in business is people who, let's say, course creators and coaches, because these are two big industries lately, who struggled for many years to earn any income or earn just a little, or who are still at their day job. And let's say they get to six figures at some point, then everyone would expect them to get to 150K per year or 200K in 2 years or something. But no, they can get to 500,000 in a really short amount of time. There is no logic, but it happens. And by using the right mindset shifts and reframing the right limiting beliefs, we can also get to that point. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. For those who have yet to listen to your podcast, Lidiya, can you tell us how one word can help you achieve massive growth and which one word is yours?
Yeah, that's the so called word of the year. And it's the concept that you choose one word and it becomes a theme of your whole year. There can be a feeling behind it, or it can be what you want to improve or change about all areas of your life, but summarized in one word. Then you can keep your mind focused on that. Throughout the whole year, you can take decisions with that in mind. You can make plans with that in mind. For example, mine for last year was alignment, because in the beginning felt totally out of balance. My business didn't feel right. I wasn't working on the right things. Also, some things in my personal life didn't feel good. So I wanted to change it all. And by the end of the year, if there was one word to describe everything, it was that it felt aligned. So that really helped. It's just more conscious effort that you put into all of these changes you make. Then for this year, it was expansion. And an example in business is that I created Bold Business School, which is literally my most expansive program. There is so much going on there. And it's the most serious one I've created, because there I cover like the advanced sales strategies, the advanced email marketing. I teach people how to create a digital product, how to turn that one offer into the foundation of their whole business. And also some things in personal life, like to expand my capacity to give and receive love in terms of relationships. So that's also working well. And I just came up with my word for next year actually these days, because I believe that's how it happens. It just comes to you.
Yep.
And it's safety, but not just in your physical environment. It's that inner knowing that you're safe no matter what. Safe in your body whenever you're in any situation. For money, I think that's crucial, because many people, with or without money, they just don't feel safe with it. And they can't hold it. They seem to immediately spend it or something they don't know how to, let's say to invest or any action they take with their money. They just don't have the inner safety to work with it. For business, it's also, no matter what you work on, you are safe with it. Just, it's about trusting the process. Yeah.
Great. I love that word alignment. It's one we use actually a lot here at WPX when we're talking about things we're trying to achieve, and it's also in my courses. And I think alignment actually affects almost everything that we experience, see, touch, do, who we talk to,
Yes.
the job, the city we live in, the country we live in, everything that we do. And I think we see a lot of evidence in the world of misalignment and the terrible kind of consequences and misery caused by that misalignment. And my personal view is that much of that is unnecessary if we were more conscious and intentional and audited ourselves and our societies and all of that much better. So it's interesting that you picked up on that.
Exactly. one of my goals that year was to remove anything that is unnecessary, which is actually an easy process. Then anything that is left is what feels right. And
Great.
you can double down on it, which is something that already works.
Damn right. Your bio, Lydia, said that your business is your legacy. What do you want your legacy to be?
In terms of blogging, I like the fact that your content is going to live long after you. So that becomes your legacy. And then there is a bigger picture of, well, I teach business. So people start businesses and blogs thanks to that. And they go and help other people. So that's the collective impact. And on a more personal note, um, this is my way of creating generational wealth, the business. I believe so. And when I have kids, it's going to be beautiful that I can be a role model for them to want entrepreneurship. Not to say it as something risky, but as the only way to freedom, even.
Great. For me personally, I like to think about impact. I think of it in terms of impact more than a legacy. So, for instance, my work with everydogmatters.eu, my dog foundation here in Bulgaria, my personal financial goals are about setting up my foundation to be financially stable and secure long after I'm gone, so
Yeah.
that even in 50 or 100 years or beyond, assuming the world hasn't blown up by that point, Every Dog Matters can continue to deliver and help at-risk and abused animals, decades, centuries
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
So,
That's
and I
amazing.
actually call this the longest game. In money, we talk about short games and long games, and I call this one the longest game, where you're actually setting up a whole bunch of very positive, constructive things that outlive you. And I think that's a fantastic legacy and impact to have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great. I'll go off script slightly here, Lydia. I'm curious about, and you don't need to go into a huge amount of detail, but just how has your experience with WPX been? Hopefully a good one.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking recently that there is no way to serve your clients better. And then I saw the special deals for Black Friday for clients only. That was nice. Well, my first experience with hosting providers was really bad. For a few years, I sticked with a bad one. Then I decided to switch. I was ready also to invest in better tools for email marketing and everything else. That's when I found WPX. It was the second web host I ever used.
Okay.
And I never had problems, never. And my site is content heavy. There are over 2,000 articles,
Wow.
a lot of visuals, and yeah, I have only good experiences with the support. Also, they are always respond immediately. They're so kind. And the new features you've added since I've been a client in the last 3 years without increasing the price, that's also amazing. So
Yeah.
I recommend it to my audience.
There are a lot more coming, a lot more good features coming as well.
Mhm.
That's great to hear. But I've got a bonus question here, which is completely off script. So, if Netflix decide to make a movie about your life, which actor should play you?
Ooh. Well, now one person comes in mind because I'm just a fan of her, Margot Robbie. She's just really
Okay.
charming.
She is
Yeah,
also
but I don't know
Australian
how she's
like
gonna
me.
do.
Or another Australian like me.
Is she? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah.
Yep. She is Australian girl. Yep. Exactly. Lydia, fantastic to talk to you. Great answers there. I love your mission. And with my own kind of courses and education and what I'm doing with Every Dog Matters, and actually just last night here, we opened a new facility downstairs we've been rebuilding for a year and a half called Hyperspace, which is going to be a free venue for any kind of change-driven individuals or groups. They can use it and kind of be part of a community here. We want to teach entrepreneurial skills to high school kids, for example.
Yeah.
We want to empower filmmakers or writers or tech people or whoever, and kind of get on board with the idea of all of us as sort of architects of our future. We're all the engineers of a different future. And I think amongst kind of all the online hate and misery and everything kind of around the world a lot at the moment, it's important to recognize it's something of a golden age in terms of the opportunities we have, The tools to
Yeah,
reach each other have never been more powerful or free and easy to use.
exactly.
I remember when I was growing up, there was no such thing as the internet or color TV, even though I look very young. And if you wanted to have a business then, you would have to go and get a loan and you would rent a shop or a restaurant for 5 years or something, like go into huge debt. It was horrible. And now there's so much flexibility and immediacy with all of the tools on the web.
Yeah, yeah.
It's incredibly empowering, and I think we all need to recognize that more and use it.
Even in my humble and short experience, but it was still 7 years ago, and I wasn't tech savvy at all when I started using WordPress and everything. I had to learn it by myself. Now it's so much easier.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
happens at the click of a button. You don't need any coding skills, any design skills,
If you look at something
anything.
like canva.com, which was also started by Australians, I'll just put the Australian thing there again. That's for me, that's one of my favorite tools. I use it every
Yeah.
day. It's like $13 a month with a massive library of stock videos and photos and ads, pre-formatted ads. It's quite incredible.
I also use it every day, and I'm still surprised. I also use the pro version, how cheap it
Yeah, me
is.
too. Yeah, it's amazing, and they're adding. I think they'll keep adding more sound effects, music. They'll
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Lydia, thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for
Have
having me.
sure. Have a great day there.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.